Hi everyone, welcome to the 16th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by an executive producer from Quinnipiac's entertainment news show #that, Liz Ippolito.
Hi everyone, it's so fun to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, and once again we have episode 5 guest Kate Turner, technical directing, filling in. So thank you, Kate. And Liz, I think you have a gist of what the Zicast is about. I know my friends at that deeper level because everyone has a story. So kind of with that all said, kind of let's get into things. But before we begin, I want to give you shout out your belated birthday.
Thank
you.
So
happy birthday, Liz.
Thank you.
And also, as you mentioned when you first came in here, you're doing a bit of a media tour. You're also on Gossip with Grace, also with Kate. That was not intended, but it's funny how things turn out.
Yeah, it's like when an author releases a book and then they go like to a bunch of different bookstores. That's what this is right now.
Exactly, which is fitting to tell me. So kind of with that all said, Liz, how about you tell us a bit about yourself?
So I'm in my grad year at Quinnipiac. I did a 3+1. I studied film with a minor in media studies, and now I'm doing cinematic production with Kate. We're like the same track.
It all circles back to Kate.
It all circles back to Kate. But and yeah, I do Q30. That's like what I do after class, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I don't do too much.
Awesome. Do you have any other positions at the school besides EP #that?
I'm a TV beat reporter,
Awesome.
But that's like a little known fact. But besides Q30 now.
Yeah, which certainly takes up a lot of our time.
Yeah.
So kind of let's go. You're talking about Q30. Let's go to kind of what led you there. So I'd like to ask you, what drew you to studying communications in film?
If I'm gonna be honest, I don't know, because when in high school, I always got I wasn't a bad student. I just wasn't interested in like science or math or English. I wasn't interested in like the main ones, but my high school had like a bunch of media classes, and you had to take art, and I'm so horrendous at drawing and anything, so I took the media classes, and I really liked it, just because I got to be creative and whatever. And then when I was applying to colleges, I thought I was going to do like marketing or business, and then I found out that you could do film, so I decided to do film. Yeah.
All works out in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the universal experience of not liking math or science
Yeah.
as people in our field.
Just one didn't like stick for it wasn't that I was bad at them. It just didn't really care for any of them. I didn't really like feel one way or another.
Feel inclined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and that leads you into film, and then in a lot of kind of comm majors I've talked to on here, it always started back in high school.
Yeah.
With Kat, when I had Sam and Kat on, and they talked about how their high schools had communications programs.
Yeah.
And that really prepped them for Q30, which was really cool. So kind of leading into that, kind of what stood out to you about #that made you want to become an EP?
Well, I didn't start at #that. For my Q30 journey, when I was a freshman first semester, I just joined to join. And no offense, guys. I joined Quinnipiac Tonight first because I was like, oh, it's like SNL. Like, I love SNL. But it just wasn't my thing. No offense. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't my thing. So I stopped doing Q30 in general for like a couple months. And then a girl that I randomly became friends with in class was it's like the weirdest story. Like, she was supposed to host with another one of our friends for #. And then the other girl had like a family emergency and couldn't do it with her. So it was like day of. So she was like, you need to help me. You need to help me. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I went and I hosted, and it was a lot of fun. So I kept going back, and she kept making sure I kept going back. And then I did it all sophomore year, and I realized I was like one of the most consistent people there. It would be a shame for me to just like fall off there. I thought I wanted to be an AP, but then I realized why. If I could just apply for EP, and then if I don't get it, do AP. So I applied for EP, and then I got it. And I decided to do it again. And it turns out the girl from freshman year never had a family emergency. They just tricked me into joining. So that's...
Wow.
Yeah.
It's destiny.
And I didn't know that until I think May of 2023. They were like, oh yeah, we tricked you, right? And I was like...
Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact. Fun fact that I didn't even know. Yeah.
It's funny how things turn out.
Yeah, they were like, we knew you wouldn't join. We just had to give you a push. And I was like, true, you did. And I honestly probably wouldn't have gone back if they didn't get me to go back. Yeah.
That's an interesting... Yeah, sometimes if something's meant to be, it's just meant to be.
Yeah, it just happens like
Even
that.
if your friends fake a family emergency to
Yeah.
get you to do it.
It's like you could have just asked. Like,
And
yeah.
I mean, you found something that you liked that you probably didn't think you would like, and kind of carried it forward over the years. Because, of course, I mean, I've had a lot of fun with hashtag that. And to explain it to anyone who doesn't know, it's kind of like, actually, I'll let you explain it because you're.
Yeah, it's basically just like e-news. We do a lot of like different kinds of segments that highlight different areas of the entertainment industry, and there's like opportunities to do like reviews, or like we're very lenient about like what you can cover, and I think that's what makes it different from the other shows.
Yeah, and especially being there throughout this year, it's very you, in terms of the personality and being very fun and relaxed, and it's interesting that you started out just helping out a friend, and then finding your way towards co-running it with Alex and being a part of that really cool leadership group. There.
I mean, like I don't know what I was gonna say. Sorry. I just like if she didn't give me that push, I would have never been where I am now. I wouldn't have like the things that I have now. So I am very thankful for that.
Yeah, and it all works out, and that's a fun story. So, kind of talking about your personality, I wanted to ask you kind of about your leadership style and the kind of benefits of having the kind of big personality that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just been kind of out there. Actually, I don't know. I'm very out there, but also I'm very shy sometimes. A lot of people don't realize that. Sometimes I'm like, I can't talk to people. But yeah, having like I like to think about it like, I think I'm the personality hire of hashtag last year. Like a bunch of people applied, but I think you either know everything technically or you can lead everyone and teach everyone. And I think I was the person that they picked to teach everyone. And it honestly like helps a lot to be personable and like welcoming for people to come in, because if you're like, if I went to a show and like the EPs were like mean and scary, like I couldn't be in that environment, especially if it's something extracurricular. Like it wouldn't be worth my time. I just wanted hashtag to be like somewhere that people like, because that's what it was for me. I wanted hashtag to be somewhere where people can go and have fun and laugh and like not stress if they make a mistake, or like, because everyone's learning, I'm learning. But the thing with having like the big personality, I think I said this in my first interview, I was like, that was my one negative, because people don't take me seriously all the time. Because if you're funny and you know, you like that, sometimes people don't like take you seriously. So it has its pros and it has its cons.
Yeah, I very much understand and very much second what you're saying. And one of the things I really like about hashtag is that you could kind of just go, and that, I don't want to say it's non-committal, because of course it's very committal if you're an EP, but you could kind of go just help the broadcast and just kind of have fun on a Monday night and not really, like you said, have to worry about it. Yeah,
like I definitely want people to be committed, but also at the same time, I don't want them to like go home and cry if they like like hit the wrong button, because if I can't do it myself, like if I did a position for any show, I'm gonna mess up. And I've been doing this for 4 years. Like it's not the end of the world if we hit the wrong button or anything. I just want people to learn and not have like I want people to have the opportunity to learn how to do something if they want, or just get out there more if they want. Just giving them the push to want to try.
Yeah, and it certainly taught me a lot in terms of just how to run a TV broadcast. And it's kind of more my wheelhouse with entertainment. So really, yeah, you and the rest of the kind of leadership group that really cultivated a really fun environment, and one that I've really come to appreciate. And so we've talked about your press tour, Gossip with Grace, now the Zicast.
Yeah.
But you actually had your own podcast. So I'd like to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What that experience was like.
Honestly, I just did it to fill up some of my time. I did one freshman year with my roommate, and then we stopped, and then I had a little bit of time last year and I started doing it, but it's very hard to do a podcast by yourself. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
I did really like it, but I just have no time this year. So I had to call it quits with it. But I do really love podcasting. I think it's like something that I would want to do in the future. I just don't really have the time for it right now.
Oh, I very much understand that. And I mean, I've had a ton of great guests who've added so much to this show. So I'll kind of give a lot of the credit to them. And yeah, that's the thing about podcasting. A lot of it's consistency.
Yeah.
So that's something that, if anything else, I pride myself on for being able to come back to do this every week and have really fun and interesting people like you on. So kind of, what was your podcast centered around?
Just about like college life. Like I would talk to like a bunch of my friends about like different aspects of like things we had in common. Like some people I would talk about like balancing school and a social life, and then like some people would be like celebrity gossip, and other things that would just be like just like different stuff like that, like a very like mainstream like what you would expect from a college girl doing a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to when I had Emily McManaman on here, or the podcast she did, which has a title with a curse word in it. I don't know if I can say again, but yeah, that's kind of like what hers was about. So it's kind of those kind of college based, kind of interesting, fun topics that relate to our age group.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was fun, and maybe you could get back into that sometime in the future.
Yeah, maybe post grad. I just don't. It's very busy right now, and I didn't expect it to be. But and it's very hard to do on your own. So
yeah.
But
I definitely get back into it because, as you could see, it's quite rewarding.
Yeah.
So you're talking about being a grad student. I kind of want to ask you about your capstone film that you did, and kind of any other films you've been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I did Sadie's Speech. I was the first assistant director for that when we were the all female group. And it was a lot of fun. But that's like the only film I've done, because I've come to learn that I don't like filming and like being on set for long hours. I really like the pre-production aspect of it. Like I'm very much into scheduling, and I'm good with numbers like that. So I really learned that like maybe like working with cameras isn't my thing, but also working with the schedule is more my thing. And it's a good way for like students to learn that before they move on to like real life. And I'm glad I'm in the 3+1 that I got to not get that over with, but get to do it in my third year, so I could have an idea for like where I want to go moving forward. But I loved it. It was a great experience. I had a great team, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And kind of like what you said, the learning experience. It's interesting that you say you got to be an AD and that's not quite your thing.
I know that one is my thing. I do like, I love being a first AD. I loved it, but I just realized like the on-set life might not be for me as much.
And that's something you got to learn.
Yeah,
you're doing
which is
that.
great, yeah.
And that maybe, I've had conversations with a lot of people who came in here wanting to do one thing.
Yeah.
And found out they liked another thing.
Yeah, like I guess when I came in, I wanted to like, I don't know what I wanted to be when I came in here, but probably something with cameras. Then I was like, this is my least favorite thing ever. So once you get more into the film program, like you get to do more things that isn't just like shutter speed, focus. And it's like, I've come to enjoy it a lot more than when I first started.
Yeah. And cameras are a lot more complex.
Yeah.
Than people think they are.
Yeah. And it's just, that's what people think the film program is, but we learn a lot more than that.
Definitely. Yeah. And what was your film about?
Yeah, it was about two sisters. The younger one's getting married, and she's like a very type A, very put together. The older one is kind of a mess, and she's single, and it's the wedding day. But the night before the wedding, the older sister gets too drunk and ruins the rehearsal dinner. So the whole film is kind of her retracing her steps and trying to write her maid of honor speech. And I don't want to give away the ending, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
Like The Hangover.
Like The Hangover, but sisters, I guess. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very curious because it was before my time here at Quinnipiac.
Yeah, that one was mine.
So great to know, and I could probably find it on YouTube, I assume?
I don't think so yet.
Not yet.
I'll have to look into that. I forget where it is right now, but yeah.
And we could plug it another time.
Yeah, we can plug it another time because I'm not totally sure off the top of my head where it is.
Yeah. And now I've had a lot of topics about this with a lot of people that and we're on the trip with. I'd like to ask you about your experience with QU in LA and what that taught you.
Yeah, I mean, I went summer of 2022. So it's getting to be like almost 2 years now, but I learned a lot from it. I loved LA, and I knew like when I came to Quinnipiac, that was one of the reasons I came to Quinnipiac, because I thought it was like such a great opportunity, and I did it, and I had the best time. I learned a lot of you learn a lot because you're in a different state, in a different city, that's nowhere, not even close to anything like being over here. And then also like you're living by yourself, like you're living in an apartment building, like you're doing everything for yourself. It's your first time like not being in a dorm. So you really get to experience like a more defined like adulthood aspect. And it just was perfect for me at the time, and I had a great experience.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely very different environment from Hamden, Connecticut.
Yeah. Very different.
And you seem like a very California person.
Honestly, I don't know. I do. Ooh, I slipped. I do love LA, but I think I'm more of a New York girl. I think I'm way too uptight and like very go go go. Like it was very laid back there, and that's kind of not me. Like I'm very like needs to be fast paced environment.
Yeah, you could take a person out of the Northeast, but you can't take the
Northeast.
Northeast.
Yeah, you can't take the new Northeast out of me.
Very, very interesting.
But I would go back to California. I did love it a lot.
That's incredible. Incredible to know. And kind of want to ask you about some of the internships you worked with while you were there.
Yeah, I had one with H2R Productions, and they're kind of like a sub company of Magnolia, so HGTV and stuff like that. And I would edit their casting reels. So when they would do like an interview about like potential people to feature on a show, I would just cut it down and put like B-roll over it. And yeah, that's what I was kind of doing, editing, but I don't know. I just wanted to go, so I would take like anything I could get. And like I don't even like editing, so I don't even know. It was the only one I could get. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I joke. I'm surprised I still have so much hair in my head right now from editing. Yeah, I haven't pulled it out.
Yeah, I like editing in like the #that package way. It's like very cut and dry, and it's like it's simple. I could not, like Kate edited her capstone, I could not edit something like that. Like I can do like something very like minimal. That's like the extent of what I like to edit.
It's an extraordinary test of your patience.
Yes.
Editing, and you just noted that you were a very go New Yorker. It feels like it conflicts a lot with editing.
Editing's just not my thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning I'm trying to make it my thing.
Yeah.
On my own end.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely like one of the best skills to have, but you don't need to be like an expert in it to go far with it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and H2R, I'm familiar with them from my own application process to QU in LA. And I think that's kind of fitting with a lot of the things you do, kind of helping them with their casting reels for their own productions, sort of like a little bit what you do here with your own production with #that. So kind of on the same grand topic of QU in LA, I'd like to ask you about any fun memories or moments you have from the program.
Yeah, I mean, I think like some of the best moments. So I went with my best friend, and then with two other girls that we like kind of knew, and we became great friends. Like I'm going to hang out with one of them after this. Like
nice.
We still keep in touch. I think just like living with them was just so much fun for me because it was just like we're very like we just have fun together. So it was just like at night, like after we were working, like anything was fun. But also I guess another memory that wasn't, I think like when we hiked the Hollywood sign was a lot of fun because that was the first time I did it. And like then you can like see the Hollywood sign and everything. So that was probably one of my favorite memories.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and that's another really cool thing. I've said so many times in here, going on trips with your friends.
Yeah.
And getting that kind of professional development is always something that's just so much. That's just so rewarding, but and so much fun to do. Yeah. And especially in a context like QU in LA, where, like you said, you're on your own, no dorm, no parents. Yeah. And you kind of have to, I would say fend for yourself, but of course you have like Andres, who helps look after you, and your friends and potential other people. But I'm sure that was so much fun. And like you said, hiking Hollywood sign. Any other like specific moments, maybe at your internship or maybe something you did as a group?
I'm trying to think. This is like 2 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Dig deep into the archives.
Yeah, I'm really having to go into the archives. A fun thing that we did was, I don't know, we went to like Universal, which was a lot of fun. I've never been to Universal. I know it's like not like very like professional or anything, but it was just like a fun day with everyone. I liked going to like Disneyland too, like just like being able to like experience like California things, like going to a Dodgers game. Oh, the Dodgers game was my favorite actually. Yeah. Because it was just a lot of fun with everyone.
Yeah. I know you they go to some studios as well too, like
yeah, we went to Warner Bros. Yeah, we just went to Warner Bros.
Warner Bros?
Yeah, that was the only one we went to. But yeah, it was like super cool to see everything there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else like about kind of being in LA that stood out to you, like kind of whether it be the everyday life there, culture there?
Yeah, it's very different. Like there's a lot of homeless people. But it doesn't feel dangerous. Like New York, like it feels dangerous. Yeah. But like California was just like, just mind your business and you're fine. everything, it was a lot more like anything goes. Like you could wear whatever you want and people would like praise you for being like artistic and stuff like that. Like I think it was a lot less judgmental. And I feel like a lot of people don't say that. I think it's like a city where like people are like nicer, which I'm sure like that's like I'm the only person to ever say this, but like people are very like friendly there, which was something I noticed. Yeah.
Different kind of mentality from Northeast.
Yeah, I think coming from the Northeast, I was like prepared to be like yelled at, and then I was like, oh wait, everyone here is actually very nice.
I'm walking here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting contrast. And like kind of how was like getting around the city for you?
A lot of people had cars, so we drove a lot. That was kind of our main way, but like we've taken the train a few times, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that experience, and kind of I'm sure, of course, working with Andres as well, I'm sure that was
Andres is the best. I do miss him every day.
Yeah, Pops.
I guess that was my first podcast experience. I was on Bad Friends.
Yeah. How was that experience for you? I know Grace and her group had that.
Yeah, I wasn't with them. I wasn't on that trip, but I was on the one before, and they were like, oh, bring in a girl, and some other girl was going to stand up, and I was like, she's not funny, so I just went with her. And it was cool. Yeah.
What exactly happened there? Was it a roast session or?
No, they just were like, what's your hopes and dreams? And I was like, I don't know. And we were just like talking. They made fun of my last name. Basically, yeah. They were just like, no one, like, because I was talking about like what I wanted to do in the future, and they were like, no one in the Midwest is gonna be able to say Ippolito, and I was like, that's really true. So they called me Ippy the Liz, and that was it.
As experience with Bad Friends go.
Yeah.
I bet. Which sounds quite fun. So kind of with that whole talking point, like, do you have any primary takeaways from your time in that program?
Yeah, it kind of like helped me like understand, like, I don't know, I feel like at that time it's like halfway through my college career, so I was like, it helped me like mature more. I came back, like I feel like I came back from that trip like very different. I felt like I was more mature after it. Definitely like friendlier and like more open to new things like than before. And I also learned a lot about like LA, which was cool. I just feel like I matured a lot from that trip, so I'm really happy I went. Yeah,
some kind of necessary growth that you
I think at the time that's what I needed.
It kind of like tossed you in the deep end, so to speak.
It's like I feel like I needed to like just get out of, it's like because you're here for 2 years and it's like you have another 2 years, like I needed that like split in the middle just to kind of reset, because 4 years of college is a lot.
Definitely, and that kind of changes the whole trajectory in a lot of ways too. I'm sure it gives you more options, spices up the resume, which is always good. I think I don't know, I don't really know if my internship helped me as much as I think Q30 helped me a lot more on my resume. But still a lot of like variance in the things you've done.
Like it definitely diversified, like, and shows like I have a lot more skills, so I'm really happy I did that.
And getting more, even though I'm in the same country, but worldly, so to speak, understanding.
It felt people. Like I was abroad. I tell people like, oh, I went abroad. I went to LA. I was in the same country.
Yeah. And I do feel like a big important thing, I talked about this when I had my brother on, is a kind of a big part of working is kind of just to understand people, to kind of empathize. And I feel like understanding different of mentalities.
Cultures,
mentality, like where like kind of where you grow up and kind of how that influences how you act. That's very vital.
And like I feel like you learn that a lot, like even in Hamden, like there's people I live with girls from all sorts of states, and like it's definitely like a culture shock. And I think that even going to like another not country, another state like California, I felt like a huge culture shock, so it took me a while to like get used to that.
Do you have any advice for anybody looking to enter the program?
Just go. It's like, even if you hate it, it's 15 weeks. What do you have to lose? Like, you never know if you're gonna like it or hate it, so might as well just get that experience, because no experience is a bad experience.
I could very much second that. I mean, you do have a lot of money to lose, but
I mean, I think it's worth it. The money is definitely worth it, because you get to experience everything. So I think it is worth it. And even if it's not your favorite place in the world, you still
just get to know,
get to learn. So
I feel like it's always good to do something rather than not do something and regret it. Especially in regards to this and all the things that it can teach you. So now, kind of talking about how QU and LA kind of split your time here, as you near kind of your kind of official graduation, do you have any parting thoughts for QU and everything you've kind of accomplished here?
Yeah, I mean, like I've been thinking about it like a lot recently. Like I'm very scared to graduate. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I definitely think that I've made the most of my time here. I've done like everything that I possibly have could. And I feel like I've learned so much. Like me and my other friend were talking about this the other day. We were talking about things from freshman year, and she was just saying like how much we've all changed. Like it's so like nice to see like people from freshman year like grow up, and like to look back on yourself and see you like grow as a person, and like see everything that you've learned and everything you've accomplished and all the things you've been able to do. So yeah, I've been really lucky to come here and get all these opportunities that I have. So I'm very thankful for Quinnipiac, and I don't want to leave.
Yeah, as am I, and of course I'm graduating. I still have a whole nother year, which I'm very thankful for. But yeah, I'm sure it's fun to reflect on your story arc here.
Yeah, I definitely have had a story arc here. So it's been a long 4 years.
Yeah, a lot of character development,
a lot of
ups
character
and downs.
Yeah.
Big moment in the middle.
Yeah.
With the QU in LA. And yeah, I mean, I know that it can be scary to graduate, but it's just another open door.
Yeah.
Towards a definitely fun future.
Yeah, hopefully everything works out.
Hey, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe, and I think knowing kind of what you've done, what you do with hashtag and seeing the way you work, I think you're going to be just fine.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that.
If that's one of your worries,
yeah.
I don't think it should be.
I appreciate that.
Of course, and to kind of get into like some interesting kind of personal things, like what are some things that people may not know about you?
I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
I know it's a question a lot of people get.
I think a lot of people don't realize how structured I am, because I think if on like a personal note, it's not like, oh, like my favorite color is purple. That's not fun to talk about. I think a lot of people don't realize like how regimented I am and how organized I am, and that's something that I wish people didn't know. I'm not like this like fun goof all the time. Like I do really like have to keep myself in order to make sure I get everything done.
Yeah, very interesting. I've seen that a lot with hashtag.
Yeah,
I feel in terms of that.
It's like Monday night right after the show. Here's everything you need for next week.
Yeah, yeah, and the kind of efficiency of the rundown meeting.
Yeah,
I do always like how you favor people who are there.
Yeah, I mean that's always how we've done it. I mean that's since I was like a sophomore. If you're in person, then you get first pick.
Yeah, I like to continue those traditions. Like I always do the hangman, even when I don't feel like it.
Yeah, they would do that last year too. Some of the people. So I guess let's carry on.
Yeah, I know. On the same topic, you mentioned earlier that you're kind of more shy than people would think.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because I've always kind of known you. I guess I don't want to say from afar.
Yeah.
From a hashtag as being very big, but
yeah.
One thing I've learned, especially from this show, beginning to know a lot of the people here on a deeper level, like what the show is about, that a lot of people who have kind of big personalities can be very humanized.
Yeah, I think everyone who you see with a big personality is reserved.
Yeah.
In their like personal life. Like I think that like a lot of people don't realize, like I'm like, oh, like hashtag, and then I go home and I don't talk to anyone for like all night. Like I don't know, that's just how it is. I was very shy before I came to college too. Like in high school, like I was obviously like a big personality, but nowhere near like as comfortable talking to people. Like I could never have a one-on-one conversation like this before I came to college. And like it's like not high school, college has really helped me grow to be like a more personable person, like more of a being able to like have these conversations, because I could never do this 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I'd say the same on my end. I feel like I've learned that people are a lot more three-dimensional than we even choose to believe.
Yeah,
and that we all kind of play kind of characters of ourselves in a lot of ways sometimes. Where we could play the extrovert, you play the introvert.
Yeah, definitely.
And that sometimes people aren't always entirely consistent in the way they act.
Yeah,
and that's something you kind of get to know, like what I said, when you kind of interact with people more personally and get to know them over time.
Yeah, and I think that's why like the Zicast is really good, because like you ask a lot of questions that like nobody would ask me. Like nobody would come up to me and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, how was your experience with QU in LA? Like I think it's like great to like actually not just talk surface level with people, but also at the same time, like, try and get to know, like, who they are. Because, like, just, like, the simplest questions can lead into, like, more deep conversations.
Yeah. And that's something, of course, doing this show, I very much noticed, especially here and today. And that, like, I'm very blessed and very fortunate to know many incredible people such as yourself.
Yeah.
And kind of like you said, I don't walk into the media suite and say, hey, Liz, tell me about some things people may not know
yeah,
about
like,
you.
what's one thing people don't know about you? It's like, no one's ever asked me that, but it's like, this is like the perfect space to, like, let people get to know you.
And I was just about to say, like, I'm very fortunate to have this space, like you said, to where we could just kind of sit down and have a casual conversation about the things that are meaningful to us, about the things that drive us and that led us to where we are. Because I always feel like I observe things with people that you kind of, I think you probably do too. You kind of observe things that you don't say out loud. Yeah. But then we get this setting, and I ask you kind of about your leadership style and personality, and kind of learn those things about people.
Yeah, like, one of my roommates is, like, used to be, like, mute, like, when we were freshmen. Like, she was so shy, like, doesn't say anything. And then, like, now she's come out of her shell so much and, like, is so, like, outgoing. But she, like, is still kind of shy. She'll, like, just, like, observe. Like, she'll catch so many things that I won't catch, like, in a conversation with people. Like, it's, like, I feel like the people who are more reserved are more, like, observing.
Which is very much a perk. Of being that, they kind of see those things in people. Yeah,
when you're not focused on what's coming out of your mouth, you get to, like, see what's actually going on.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I'm taking an acting class, which has taught me a lot. And of course, alongside acting, it teaches you a lot about life. Yeah. And one thing I've learned is that the kind of scene is bigger than yourself. And a lot of times, interacting with people is bigger than yourself. Yeah. And if you focus on the things other people are saying and doing, rather than focusing on what you're going to say, you do kind of notice a lot.
Yeah, you definitely do.
And that's something the Zicast has helped me with. So, kind of moving on from this examination of the Zicast, I'd like to ask you the same thing Bad Friends asked you, which was your hopes and dreams, professionally or in general.
Yeah, I'm very into, like, live TV, kind of like what hashtag is, but I'm very into, like, late night stuff like that, because it's very structured, it's very organized, it's very scheduled. It's not like a film set, like, we're going into the woods for 5 days and everyone stays here for 5 days. Like, I feel like in my life, like, I've learned, like, I need structure, so I'm very into, like, I'm trying to weasel my way into late night TV. But I'm also, like, very into writing. Like, I've written articles for 3 years here. I'm also, like, into, like, media. Like, there's so much, like, I'm into podcasting. Like, there's so much I'm into and, like, would do. Like, I think this school, like, has really taught me, like, a wide range of things to do. So I'm not just, like, I only edit, I only film. So I feel like there's a lot of things that I could get into, but I think the main thing that I would is, like, late night TV.
Yeah, late night Liz.
Late night with Liz.
Late night with Liz. That sounds perfect. Yeah. And you're kind of talking about structure to kind of relate to the previous topic. Like, I'm always someone who kind of needs constant structure, like a day where you're constantly doing things. Is that something you also kind of need to constantly be occupied?
Yeah, like, earlier, like, I don't know, Monday through Thursday, I do not stop moving, like, at all. And then, like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm, like, still super busy, but, like, I do have, like, a couple hours here and there. And, like, during the hours that I don't have anything to do, I'm, like, twitching because I'm, like, I'm itching to do something. I'm, like, I can't not have something to do. Yeah. Yeah. Which is good and bad.
I very much second that. And that, like, it is weird when you literally have nothing to do. Yeah. It's easy to start tweaking. Yeah. As Kat Tallman would say. Yeah. when and that you're just so used to constantly being occupied. Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to pivot from that for a second to kind of talk about that. But I do think that sounds very applicable for you doing late night. I think that is very you. Yeah. And something you'd enter. So kind of what, I know you talk about writing, but, like, in regards, like, what would you want to do with late night?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of opportunities, like, in a production office. I really liked being an AD, like, just something that I can, like, help with the organization of it. Yeah. That sounds like a plan. Something I think that you'd be great at. Thank you.
Maybe working in New York.
Yeah, I'm hoping to work in New York because I'm from New Jersey, so I'm like a quick like bus ride away. So that's kind of my next mission.
Yeah. Which is kind of like the home of late night shows.
It is, yeah. So that's why I'm
speak.
like lucky that I live so close.
And that's something I say we manifest things here. Perhaps we can manifest.
Please do. If you're listening,
Liz.
Please manifest that for me. Please. Please.
Yeah. Any like personal goals? Beyond professional?
Personal goals, I want let me think how to phrase this. I want to be a positive aspect of people's lives. I never want to be someone who upsets anyone or like does something to hurt them. Like I want to keep maturing and just making a positive impact on the people around me, me's lives. Yeah, that's kind of my goal to always do.
Funny enough, that's probably one of my biggest goals as well. There we go. Yeah,
I like that.
And that's another aspect of the Zicast. We're going to continue to talk about it. Is that I find I'm a lot more alike with people than I would originally believe. Yeah. I'm sure people don't think, wow, Liz Ippolito and Ryan Ziaks, they're like the same person. I'm sure that's not something people think, but you kind of talk to people in this way, you realize, wow, we do have a lot in common.
Yeah, I feel like what I was saying before, like the first 2 years I was here, I was kind of closed off and like didn't really open myself up to a lot of people. And like junior year, like once I got like more involved in Q30, I realized like, oh, like I actually have a lot more in common with these people. And like I feel like it gave me a space to be friends with people I would never have met if not. Like I think the biggest one I always say is me and Michael Ketzlin. I would have never met. I would have never expected to have so much in common with him, and I would never have met him if it wasn't for Q30. That's like I think he's the person I have the least in common with, but the most in common with.
Yeah, and that's quite the duo. It's like it's like Batman and Robin.
But I'm Batman.
Yes, I preface that you are Batman. Yeah. Every hashtag that show. There's quite the kind of wholesome kind of friendship you have there, and that's something that like just kind of being involved and things like that can cultivate.
Yeah, definitely.
And just kind of getting to know people. So that's a fun thing. I probably should have had a Michael Katzblin topic here.
I'm surprised he's not walking past.
Yeah. Wouldn't that been something? But yeah, and really your whole AP group is a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are.
Adds to the whole hashtag that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely.
And now we're on to something that I call the golden question, which are your favorite movies.
My favorite movies. I get made fun of all the time for this. And it's because I'm not like all the other film majors. I'm like, Citizen Kane is my favorite movie. No. Like my favorite movie of all time. It depends who's asking. Is this a safe space for me to share?
I would say it is, yes.
Okay. My favorite movie of all time is Hustlers. Do you know that one?
Is it the Adam Sandler?
No, it's with J-Lo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly I love that movie. I think it's so funny. But if like a film person asks me, I say Goodfellas. But I also love Mean Girls.
That tracks.
Yeah.
For you.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I also love Silence of the Lambs. Like I have the weirdest like favorite movies. But I love Don't Worry, Darling too. And I think like all of those people are like, that's crazy. You're a film major, and those are your favorite movies.
I mean, I always say we like what we like.
We like what we like, yeah.
In films, I always ask people this, all beyond just loving movies myself. It reflects a lot about somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
What they like, even if it's something kind of unorthodox.
Yeah.
Kind of like where you have a lot of different, very different genres, and then, but like, it always says something like little bits of it says something about you.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Like Goodfellas is one of my favorites. I know like anyone who's Italian.
Yeah,
such as the two of us.
It's my favorite because it's my dad's favorite, and he would like make us watch it. Not make us, but like we would watch it when I was younger. So it's like one of my favorite. Like, it's like my comfort movie. Yeah, which is very unsettling.
It's remarkably rewatchable. Yeah, like if you just see on TV, you could just sit down and watch it at any time.
Yeah, and it like reminds me a lot of my family, like some of like the little quirks and everything. I'm like, that's something like my nana would do, or like something my dad would do. But yeah,
which is something Scorsese always captured very well. And then like something like Mean Girls that has very hashtag that energy.
Yeah, it's like very it's like funny. Like I don't laugh as much anymore because I know it by heart, but like it was like one of the first movies where I was like, oh, like I can see, like I started, like I learned a lot from that movie, I feel like, with like the comedy aspects.
Yeah. Don't Worry, Darling, very
I don't know why I
bold
like that
movie.
one so much. That I don't have an explanation for
Sometimes you just click with movies.
Yeah.
Even if a lot of people, in regards to that film, like consider it bad.
Yeah, like I couldn't tell you what I like about it. I could just tell you that like it clicked with me for some reason.
Because movies, sometimes can be very vibe based, or they kind of like strike a wavelength with your brain that you can't quite comprehend.
Yeah.
And that's one of the special things about movies that isn't, there's a lot of things about movies that are just intangible.
Yeah.
That you can't physically explain or give someone physically.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of something where I always say, like what you like. I never judge people for their movies.
But that's like a great way to put it. Like it's like strikes something in your brain. Like I never thought of it like that. And like that like is really clicking for me.
Yeah. Like even a movie kind of like Inception that talks about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And of course like a lot of like Christopher Nolan, like he makes movies about movies, and Inception's about the filmmaking process. So it's like I've always thought about it as that like movies are like dreams in that way, where you could kind of shut your brain off, so to speak, and experience something. Yeah. And that's why I feel like movies kind of can impact you on a subconscious level.
Definitely.
I'm sure that's the conversation you expected when you came on the Zicast.
Definitely.
So kind of with that all said, Liz, do you have kind of any parting words for the Zicast?
Just thank you for having me and like letting me talk for like a good long chunk of time there. I feel like those are great questions that I don't think anyone has ever asked me before. So hopefully everyone got to learn a little bit more about me on a deeper level. I'm glad. I mean, I sure did. And I sure appreciate having you on as well. And I want to thank you for kind of being one of the people to welcome me here at Quinnipiac. Hashtag was one of the first things I did. One of the first things I did, and something I still do and will continue to do, and something I just really enjoy. And a lot of that's because of you and your energy and everything you bring. So thank you again for coming on. And as always, this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.